good afternoon. Doesn't matter. Welcome to the channel where we talk about anything. Today we're gonna talk about three houses filled with mistakes. The first one, beautiful house. Only problem, even in the front of the house, you have this paint. Wow. So then we have the second house, and then we have the third house. So sit down and enjoy the rest of the house. This kitchen was, I think, open kitchen, but then they decided to place a door to make it a closed kitchen. You can see that clearly, and by doing that they make the kitchen a little bit smaller. It was better to just leave everything open kitchen.
Jobs. Working around a window is easier if you plan ahead. Ideally, tiles should be symmetrically aligned around your window for the most pleasing effect. Plan the placement of the tiles in the recess so that the grout lines in the tiles match the grout lines on the wall. Measure the depth of the recess up to the edge of the window, not the edge of the wall tile, so there is room for the trim. Measure each tile gap individually, as the depth might vary, and cut the tiles to fit. To finish the corners off neatly, use tile trim. Measure the height and width of the window recess and cut the tile trim to length. Use a miter block and hacksaw to cut the ends of the tile trim at a 45-degree angle for a neat join at the corner. Spread adhesive, then press the tile trim into place and carefully place the tiles into position. Start at the bottom, work your way up the sides, and finish on the top. Add spacers as you go. To stop the tiles falling from the top of the window recess, measure and cut wooden supports, wedging them into place under the tiles. Leave in place for about 24 hours until the adhesive is dry. Finish by grouting. Then wipe down with a damp sponge. Your bathroom wall is now finished. It's a good idea to work out how many tiles you will need before you start. To calculate, simply divide the wall area that you want to tile by the area of each tile. it's worth adding 10% extra for edges and breakages. When you measure the dimensions of a design, remember to allow for grout gaps. For wall tiling, these are normally 2 to 3 millimeters. Measure the distance from the tile edge to the corner, allowing for the grout spaces you are using. Measure each tile gap individually, as the wall might not be straight. Mark the measurements on a tile and cut. The simplest method to cut tiles is to use a tile scribe. Use a metal ruler and with a pencil or felt tip pen, mark a line across the tile. Scrape along the mark using the tile scribe and the metal ruler. Ensure that the tile is scored all the way along the length to prevent it from shattering. To snap the tile, place a pencil or similar under the line on the tile and apply downward pressure on the sides. Or you can rest the tile on the edge of a worktop and press on the sides. There are many other ways to cut tiles, including a tile cutting machine, a tile nipper, or a tungsten carbide rod. See our film How to Cut Tiles for more details. Having checked that the cut tiles fit correctly, apply the adhesive directly to the wall, or to the back of the tile if getting adhesive onto the wall is tricky. Then, press in position. Continue tiling up the wall. Fix tiles at the bottom of the main design using specifically cut tiles, as shown earlier. Use spacers to maintain gaps until the adhesive dries. Remove any excess hardened adhesive from tile surfaces using a window scraper. Be careful not to scratch any tile surfaces. Once the wall is tiled, allow the adhesive to dry according to manufacturer's instructions. Now it's time to grout your tiles. Grouting is important on tiled walls and floors to seal the tiles and make the surface water resistant, and also for decoration. Grout comes in various greys and whites, as well as beige, charcoal, and even black, so pick the one most suitable for your job. There are two kinds of grout, ready mixed and powdered. If you're using the powder, only mix up as much as you will probably use in 30 minutes, as it will begin to dry after that time and become difficult to work with. Check the manufacturer's instructions for how much this will be. If using old grout from a previous project, make sure it is not out of date. One way to apply grout is to place a small amount onto the tiles with a grout spreader. Move it around and into the joints. Spread it using upward and diagonal strokes, working it into the gaps between the tiles. Work swiftly, as the grout will soon start to harden. Continue like this until you have done all the joints. If you are grouting a large area, consider using a professional grout float. After grouting, wipe tiles with a damp sponge to remove any excess grout before it hardens. If you pull any grouting out accidentally, you can press some back in with your finger, or reapply with the grout spreader. Then use a grout finishing tool to finish the joints and give a neat appearance. Pull the shaper over the joints in an even, continuous movement. As the grout dries, a powdery film will become visible on the tiles. Polish this off with a soft, clean cloth, leaving your tiles sparkling. Grouting should last for at least 15 years, but you can extend the life of your grout by using a grout protector like this. It will create a barrier on top of the porous grout, protecting it from water, dirt, oil, grease and limescale, making it easier to clean too.